You're listening to the Mind Manual Podcast, episode 57, Healing from the Inside Out, how Joan reclaimed her health, her mindset, and her relationship with food. If you want a particular result in your life, but you're unable to get it, tune in to start training your brain and expanding your emotional intelligence to unlock the most powerful and underutilized performance tool that we have. It's the most important work you could do because it affects every area of your life. Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. I'm so glad you're here today, truly, because this conversation, this one is special. It's raw, it's honest, it's deeply human, and it's something I think every single one of us can relate to in some way. Today's episode is about food, but it's not a diet episode. It's about weight, but it's not a weight loss episode. It's about the gut, but it's not just another microbiome conversation. Today's episode is about the stories our bodies hold, the ones we carry for decades, the ones we weren't taught to understand, and the ones we finally listen to when life forces us to slow down long enough to hear the truth. It's about healing, real, deep, inside out healing. And it features someone who has lived that transformation in a way that will leave you inspired, hopeful, and maybe even a little bit emotional. Her name is Joan. She's in her 60s. She's warm and humble and genuine. And when she began this journey, she was struggling. Her reflux had been with her since her teens, over 40 years. She was battling chronic bloating, exhaustion, disrupted digestion, long COVID, and emotional eating patterns that had been shaping her life since childhood. And you'll hear this in her own words. She felt stuck, not desperate, not hopeless, but deeply frustrated because she knew something was wrong. Her body was speaking loudly, but no one had ever really helped her translate that message. You see, this episode isn't just about Joan's symptoms. It's about a woman who refused to settle for feeling unwell. It's about someone who trusted her intuition enough to say, something's not adding up. I want answers. I want my life back. And that is what makes this conversation universal. Because so many of us have lived some version of Joan's story. Maybe you've been handed a pill for a symptom. Maybe you've been told your labs look fine when you know you don't feel fine. Maybe you've lost weight before, but never felt well. Maybe you've struggled with emotional eating or sugar cravings or feeling like your off switch around food just doesn't exist. Maybe you've sensed that your body is trying to tell you something, but you weren't given the language to understand it. This episode will give you that language. From our conversation, you'll hear how we guided Joan through the process of uncovering what was really happening in her gut. A significant methanogen overgrowth was slowing her motility, causing SIBO, small intestinal bacteria overgrowth, which was disrupting her digestion, affecting her reflux, and influencing her emotional patterns around food in ways she didn't even realize. You'll hear how small, slow, steady shifts in her diet helped her to rewire her hunger cues, her metabolism, and her relationship with food itself. How healing her gut helped her to heal her mood. How healing the gut-brain axis reshaped how she speaks to herself. How she lost over 11 kilos, not through restriction, not through punishment, but through nourishment and awareness. And maybe my favorite part of all, you'll hear her describe this process not as a diet, not as a treatment, but as an awakening. Her words, an awakening. And if you've ever wondered whether your body can still heal after decades of discomfort. If you've ever thought, this is just how I am now, if you've ever been told your labs are normal, but your quality of life isn't, if you've ever felt confused by your cravings, your digestion, your mood swings and fatigue, this episode is for you. Because what Joan learned and what you will hear is this: when you give the body the right conditions, it knows how to heal. When you understand your symptoms, you stop fearing them. And when you shift your relationship with food, you shift your relationship with yourself. So today, we're going to talk about how emotional eating patterns get wired into us in childhood, why sugar and refined flour behave like addictive substances in the brain, how the gut communicates with our mood, our cravings, and thoughts, the truth about reflux and why proton pump inhibitors are not the story, how slow motility and constipation can even exist even with daily bowel movements, and why so many people have SIBO without even knowing it, what weekly support can do for long-term transformation, how to rebuild body trust after years of confusion, and what it really means to heal, not just manage chronic digestive issues. You're about to hear one woman's story, but I promise you there are pieces of all of us in her journey. Before we jump into the full conversation with Joan, I want you to listen with curiosity. Notice the moments where her story mirrors something in your own life. Notice the parts that surprise you, the parts that make you think, wait, no one ever told me that. Notice the emotions underneath the symptoms. This isn't just a medical story, it's a human story. So here is the conversation with Joan. I hope you enjoy it. What you're about to hear is something so many of us recognize, but so few of us talk about. How emotional eating gets wired into us so early, we barely notice what is happening. Listen to how Joan describes the way sweets became comfort, reward, and self-soothing, all before she ever had the language to name it. What was it like before your relationship with food?
Well, it was actually a crutch in a way, an emotional eater.
Yeah, we mostly are.
Yeah. And I guess it's something you've learnt from childhood though too. You have a treat that makes you feel better. If you've done well or if you're a bit sad or you hurt yourself, as a child, you were given that to make you feel better. And I think that then becomes embedded in your brain. That forms that relationship with food, and especially with sweet food as a reward.
And it's a reward because we've done well, we've sacrificed this or we've done that.
Absolutely. And I think as an adult, you do that still. But whereas now, I'm just happy to have a little bit of something, whereas before, it was if that switch was flicked on and it didn't flick off.
This is what Dr. Laurie Santos calls the invisible curriculum, the habits we absorb before we're even conscious of them. And when Joan says that switch wouldn't turn off, that's dopamine speaking. That's biochemistry, not a lack of willpower. As Joan's gut began to heal, something fascinating happened. The quantities of food she needed changed. This is the gut-brain axis recalibrating. This is leptin, ghrelin, insulin, dopamine, all the hormonal messengers coming back into balance. Listen to her describe it in her own words.
Of course, you had a little bit and you think, I need a little bit more. And I think, well, you do. And
Yeah.
I think that relationship is slowly changing and I'm slowly, my body itself is adjusting to all that, especially with something that's a little bit on the sweeter side. and naturally sweet, like in my fruit, and that, which I'm loving being able to have the fruit again. It's just a little bit, like we have the little bit of banana, whereas before it would have been a whole banana. But now just that little bit of it.
Is all we need.
That's nice. That's all I need. And I think I'm adjusting to quantity too. That's a big thing. I think, as I said, that switch has not been turning off, and it's starting to, okay, that's all you need. You don't need that extra.
Yeah, and it's interesting what we tell ourselves along the way, that we need more.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think sometimes too, you think you need a particular food, but then that hasn't worked. So then you start eating something else and something else. So for me, that tells me there's something lacking in my system, but I don't know what it is, but I'm trying to find it.
And do you think that's nutritionally, there's something missing, or emotionally?
Now that's interesting.
And it could be a combination of both.
I think so, because I always thought it was something I was lacking nutritionally, but maybe it is a combination of both.
Because really, anything we do for the way it makes us feel.
Absolutely we do. Yes, we do. It's just been an awakening. It really has, in my whole way I think about food, is definitely changing. And I'm feeling the benefits from that.
That moment, the switch is starting to turn off, is monumental. It's what Dr. Andrew Huberman would call the rewiring of reward prediction. And Joan didn't white knuckle her way there. Her body changed first, and her behaviour followed. When Joan talks about past dieting, listen carefully. She lost weight, but she didn't gain health. Most of us know what that feels like. The number on the scale drops, but nothing inside you changes. Here's Joan explaining why this journey is different.
I've lost 11.5 kilos. It's sort of plateaued now. So since the last time we spoke, I've only lost about that 0.5 kilo.
And I did mention that you would start to plateau, where you arrive at your natural weight for the whole food diet that you're eating, and in the right quantities and the right diversity, so that we're not deficient across our vitamins and minerals. You will arrive at your natural weight where your body's comfortable to be at.
Yes. Oh, well, that's good. That's good. I mean, I'm thrilled at where I am now. I can definitely lose a bit more and it won't be a problem. There's still plenty there, but it's not like I was at all. And I just feel better in myself.
Yeah. And when you've tried to lose weight previously, what has that been like for you?
Well, I've lost weight. Like, I went on the total wellbeing diet, and I think I lost nearly 16 kilos when I was on that, but I put 10 of that back on. And I didn't feel better for having lost that weight, whether that was because of the fact I was still suffering from the long COVID, I don't know. But this time it's been totally different. Totally different. I just feel in myself different.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing to explain, but I just feel healthier.
Yeah, that's so good. When she says, I just feel healthier, that gives me the chills, because in functional medicine, weight loss is not the goal. It's a side effect of healing. It's a very different paradigm. Now we get into the gut mechanics. Motility, SIBO, methane overgrowth. And I want you to listen for something. Joan had daily bowel movements and was still constipated. The work that we've done in rebalancing your microbiome, I think you had a Methanobrevibacter smithii overgrowth, which tends to slow motility. So that leads to SIBO, which is small intestinal bacteria overgrowth. And then you get out of whack, which puts all the quantities and the balance of your good bacteria, you virtually see them deplete to zero.
Yes.
whenever a species starts to overgrow and dominate the system.
Yes.
You were missing out on a lot of those good bacteria produce these lovely short-chain fatty acids that make our body function. And what were some of your digestive symptoms that you were experiencing before we started?
The reflux, I had bloating, and I had a lot of wind, like gas and that. So, yes.
And you had a bit of lethargy, like fatigue.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yes. And also the feeling all blocked up as well. Although my bowels were working daily,
Yes.
I never felt as if they were emptying.
Yes. And this is the misconception, I think, that a lot of people don't understand, is that because if they're having a bowel motion every day, they don't think they're constipated.
No, well, I didn't.
Yes. But when you go and get them to have test the transit time by having a mouthful of corn and noticing how many days it takes for that corn to reach the toilet bowl, they realise that they're not excreting after 24 hours. So within 24 to 36 hours is pretty normal.
Yes.
That's the transit time. But then you go and get an abdominal x-ray and their whole intestines are full, chock-a-block, even though they're going every day. So that constipation, that don't think anyone really appreciates how dangerous it is for us. We're reabsorbing a lot of toxins and we're incubating all of that bacteria in our intestines for way too long at the perfect body temperature of 36 degrees. So it just breeds them all up and gets all out of whack. And
yes.
Yeah.
And that definitely is what was going on for me. And I think you associate constipation with hardness
Yes.
and not being able to go, whereas I didn't have that at all. But yet now, especially a few times I've felt that, I've had the Osmolax, everything's come through and you think, gosh, I feel so much better.
It's almost freeing, isn't it?
Well, it is. It is. And yet I wasn't aware before. I was aware that I felt full, but I wasn't aware of what was going on, whereas now I'm very much in tune with what's happening.
Yeah. That's so good. And I think that's for most of us. We're not trained or educated in any of this. And it's almost a taboo subject. Don't even tell your mum what's going on in the toilet bowl. When you're a kid, I never realised I was constipated my entire life and never knew it. Never thought to bring it up. Nothing.
No. Well, isn't it funny? Since I've been on the program with you and that, it is. We talk about it all the time now and it's fine.
As normal as how's the weather going for us? That's when people start and they all get shy and embarrassed. I said, oh, don't worry about that. You'll get over that in a jiffy. This won't mean anything to you in a short while.
Absolutely.
And I think having those weekly check-ins too, that's instrumental in this journey.
Oh, absolutely it is.
Like if I was to hand over that protocol to you and just leave you to it, would it have ever happened?
Well, no, because especially in the beginning, because it was rough going for a few weeks, and just having you there to reassure and say, yes, well, this is normal, this happens, we can do this, we can do that. And, you get through it.
Yeah. Or in your case, you had a lot of sensitivity, so it was very slow going in trying to get you set up properly with the herbs that you needed.
Yes, I was a bit of a problem child.
Which is great to have, because when I get the difficult ones like that, we learn new ways of developing tolerance for all of it. So now I feel so much confident in treating anyone regardless of their sensitivities.
Yes.
And we know how to titrate and get them where they need to.
Absolutely. And I think that was a big thing too, is learning that just to slowly do it. You can't go in, I'm going to take this and I'm going to be fine.
No, but that is how we're trained up, isn't it, to believe?
It is.
We're given a pill to treat a symptom. The symptom relieves in 20 minutes or so, and that's what we expect. But this is not that journey at all. It's the long term. It's not long term as in it takes so long to heal. It's just, not relatively speaking, given how many years we live with gut dysbiosis.
Absolutely.
That reversal is quite quick relatively, depending on condition you've got and how long you've had it. Yeah, it's a gentle, slow by slow healing that sets you up for life. It's not the quick fix, but we're healing the underlying cause of it all.
Yes, and it's something that will be ongoing though too, because if I go back to what I was before, well, I'm just going to end up exactly where I was again. So I've learnt so much about my body. I've learnt so much about food, and it is a medicine, isn't it? Food
Oh,
is medicine.
absolutely. Yes.
And we're told so many falsehoods about our food too, and I'm learning that. So it's just incredibly interesting.
That bloating, that reflux, that fatigue, that incomplete emptying are classic methane dominant SIBO symptoms. It's classic slow motility, classic dysbiosis. And again, none of this was about surface symptoms. It was about an ecosystem inside her gut that needed rebalancing. As Joan's gut heals, something profound happened. Her emotional state changed. Her eating patterns changed. Her self-talk changed. She began to really see, the connection between what she ate and how she felt.
But to be able to have been coming through the process and seeing the difference in my body and my mind, it's been an incredible.
Yeah, that gut-brain interaction, it's bidirectional. So I don't think we've spoken much about that because you've never come in with a primary symptom like that.
No.
But what has that journey been like for you? Because I know in some instances when we, for example, get rid of a parasitic infection, for some people it's like turning the switch off on anxiety and it's gone when we rebalance that gut. But how's that been with you? What have you noticed?
Well, it's more for me, it's been that I've realised how much my emotion has been connected to what I eat. And that's been a big revelation because I didn't realise just how powerful that had been in my life.
It took me a while to really take food seriously in that way. You know, when my son was sick and I was researching and doing all the things, and I was thinking to myself, well, surely that can't be it, or that won't have much of an effect. But there is no way we could have done this protocol without the diet component.
But it's just finding out about the calcium and that was mind-blowing.
Yeah.
You don't actually, that dairy isn't the most potent form of calcium we have. You can be perfectly healthy, and that by eating other foods.
Plant foods that feed up your good bacteria.
But how I'm feeling now, because I'm eating properly, I feel better for that. Not filling my body with things it doesn't really need.
Yeah. And so from that perspective, really where you're at now is it's just a whole food diet, isn't it?
It is.
And just paying some attention to some of the quantities or the way that foods are processed. We try and avoid the processed foods like the starchy powders that get ground down into a very concentrated form that our body doesn't properly deal with. Wants the whole food so that we feed up the good bacteria.
Yes.
And basically we eat for what our body needs, not necessarily for what we feel like. That's the biggest shift, I think, for me that happened. The classic stance of opening the fridge and telling yourself, what do I feel like?
Yes.
It's so not that. It's so, instead of an emotional driver, it's now an intellectual discussion.
It's just like with sugar, how addictive that is. I think I told you I gave it up years ago completely, and I was fine with that. But then through pressure and different things, you reintroduce it back into your diet again. And boy, oh boy, because I hadn't had it and then I had it, it's like a drug.
It is, it really is. It's the same physiological setup that happens when you take drugs, or it's that whole dopamine high that we get and then crash, and then
Yeah.
we need to do the thing again in order to bring us back to a level. But that homeostasis level gets lower and lower, and we need more and more of the substance to feeling okay again.
Yes.
It's the same setup for drugs or anything else. And it's probably the most addictive of all is sugar and flour, because flour just turns into sugar in the body. So for those that don't have a sweet tooth that think, oh, they're right, they're not addicted, challenge them to give up flour. It is just as addictive.
Okay. That's interesting, isn't it?
So you've got to be careful about what you allow. Like, so I treat bread, for example, sourdough bread, as an exception. It's not part of my everyday routine. I might save it for the weekends or something like that.
Okay.
So, yeah, you've got to be careful of those highly addictive foods that they don't start to take over.
Okay. So things like pasta and that's... What about the gluten-free variety? Is that okay or?
So it's not wheat. So there's a benefit in that. And I'm not against wheat either. I'm for whole grain. So to eat the whole grain of it is fine. But even with the grains, if we're not exceptionally physically active, and I'm not, I'm at a computer mostly, we don't need to pile up on the carbs in that way. So 2 tablespoons of whole grains is enough for me. I go to the gym twice a week, but during the day, I'm sitting down most of the time. So we've really got to match our physical activity. Whereas my son, who's a rower, working out, 6 days a week, but intensively, his body needs that. So we really have to get real about our activity level. Yes. And what our body needs. So it's not just, the nutrients and the fiber for the good bacteria. It's the whole energy amount. It's like we don't want to keep overfilling our fuel tank all the time because that's a burden on the body.
Yes. So that's something that I have to keep in mind, and occasionally maybe it's okay to have a little of that.
Yes, a little bit. So that 2 tablespoons of when you're doing brown rice, dish or something, you don't need to fill up half the bowl.
Okay.
A couple of tablespoons of rice, and then fill the rest of the bowl up. Have your meat, your palm-sized meat. Generally, if you've got moderate activity levels, palm-sized amount of meat is enough for us.
Yes.
But then fill the bowl up with lots of vegetables. And it's the combination of them, those whole grains, the protein, the vegetables, that's where you get the whole synergistic effect of combining those nutrients, the macronutrients, and the body has everything it needs. This is what Brené Brown means when she talks about stories we tell ourselves. Joan had been using food to regulate her emotions her whole life, and she didn't even know it. Once her gut stabilized, she could finally hear the difference between emotional hunger and physical hunger. That is freedom. One of my favorite moments in this conversation is when Joan learns what that stomach growl really means. For most of us, that sound triggers fear. Oh no, I'm starving, and our brain will try and convince us we're going to die. For Joan, when she understood that mechanism, what it was doing, it became a sign of healing. And have you noticed you're not feeling hungry at all in between meals?
Well, around 4 o'clock, I still feel like I need.
And are you still having a good amount of good fat in your lunches?
Salmon.
Yes, salmon and olive oil.
And yes, olive oil. Yes, I'm having that. Avocado, I eat.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Quite a bit. And that's what I usually, around 4 o'clock, I'll have a rice cake with some avocado on, or the hummus. I've had a little bit of that because I love that. So that's what I'm having about 4 o'clock, or sometimes I'll put a slice of tomato on it. And that. So that's the sort of thing that I have.
Yeah, right. That's great.
But I usually don't have, it's only that afternoon. Maybe I need to break that.
I mean, you're now well into phase 2. So phase 1, we do restrict snacks so that we get that migrating motor complex cleaning out our intestines. As I mentioned before, it's either switched on or off. And if we're constantly snacking, it's turned off all the time and it never gets to clean out our intestines. So when we hear that growl in our tummy, we want to keep it going for as long as we can, because that's the migrating motor complex, the contractions, cleaning out our bowels. And then when you get that association going, you get excited when you hear the growl instead of thinking that you're going to die or starve to death.
Oh, because sometimes I get that early of the morning when I'm still in bed.
And that's wonderful.
Oh, because I thought, oh, dear, things are going bad again.
No, that's activating now and waking up and cleaning everything out. It's housekeeping. It's great housekeeping.
Oh, very good.
Yeah. But if you can imagine, if you're just snacking throughout the day, it's always switched off because digestion's got to get switched on to get rid of the food and process it properly. So that's why we only limit it to the 3 meals a day. Now you've got your motility. It sounds to be sorted and things are going well there. You could introduce a little snack if it's getting too much, but just give it a go. Notice the growling and just think about what it's doing for you. Develop that whole new association with it.
Yes, because usually you either associate that with, needing to go to the toilet in a hurry.
Yeah, well, they're the contractions. Those peristalsis contractions are moving things along. It's sweeping out. Yeah.
Always learn something.
So it's so multifactorial whole of health, isn't it? Like there's so many different aspects that we're never taught about.
No.
And they come together and the body just knows how to heal itself when you set up the right conditions for it. It's like magic. How liberating is that? Instead of fearing hunger, she welcomes it. Instead of thinking something's wrong, she thinks, my body is cleaning house. That is the mindset transformation rooted in biological truth. Now you'll hear us discuss the medical system, what it does well and where it's limited. And this part is important because it explains why so many people fall through the cracks.
Well, I'm learning all about it, aren't I?
I'm learning every day too. I don't think we'll ever get there entirely. It's such a complex system. There's so many chemical reactions taking place that we couldn't possibly be over it all. And the shame about it is that doctors aren't taught nutrition. So in these days, they've got nutrition as a subject, one subject, but it's not compulsory. And so you'll get doctors graduating with no clue about what this food is doing to our body. And they're certainly not educated on the microbiome either.
But they're not open to it even. You'd think that they would want to investigate it at least.
Yeah, although the system's not set up for it. So it's very driven by you treat this symptom or set of symptoms known as a disease with this pill. And so that's built into their gold standards. If anything goes wrong, they're assessed against those standards. Try this pill. Did you do that? And so if they don't follow those protocols, they're not necessarily covered by insurance either.
Oh, I see.
So the whole system's not set up to favour any of that.
Makes it difficult, and especially in my experience when you don't fit into the box.
Yeah, which I think most people don't. You have a look, like more than 70% of people have one or more chronic conditions, over 70%. Now, primary health, our conventional medical model, is not great with chronic health. Great in the acute settings, go to ED and get what you need to. But in terms of chronic health, we're getting sicker and sicker. We're not getting better and better. It's unfortunately the system we're trapped in at the moment.
Hopefully, over time, it will change.
I do believe treating the gut, as Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, said himself, that all disease begins in the gut. However, and we've come so far away from that, and certainly the pharmaceuticals are setting up their models so that they create customers for life. So when you're on statins, you expect to be on it for life. When you go on proton pump inhibitors, that antacid for the reflux, expect to be on it for life because they don't have any alternative. They don't know how to treat it any other way. So it's like they can't leave you with nothing. So that's it. So that's the model. That's what we're all dealing with. I think it will take time, but they say a paradigm shift takes approximately 70 years to change. Well, functional medicine's been going for the Institute of Functional Medicine, who I belonged with,
Yes.
They've been going for over 30 years. This is not new. And there's so much clinical evidence and science research being undertaken on the gut microbiome throughout the various research institutions and universities around the world. It's all there. It's all science-based, all evidence-based, but they're not teaching it.
But I guess too, these big pharmaceutical companies have probably such a big influence, don't they?
Well, they do. I run the medical centre and we have all the pharmaceutical reps visiting all the time. They organise all the conferences that the doctors get CPD points for. They get a beautiful meal, all for free. They don't have to pay for anything. That's their education. It's being done by the pharmaceutical companies.
So they wield so much power, don't they? But that's like this morning they had on the news that in America they're going to take off the warnings for estrogen treatments for pre-menopause and menopause, you know, the hormonal treatments.
Is that because the evidence didn't really stack up?
Absolutely it is, yes.
And here they profess to be evidence-based.
Absolutely. So how much of that is going on
I know.
with the medications, though? Isn't it scary to think?
It's really scary.
Women have been suffering and too scared to go on to hormone treatment because of these supposed side effects.
Yeah.
Are not there.
Just this last week, I had a client whose cardiologist had changed her blood pressure medication and it sent it too low. She was in a car and blacked out, unconscious.
Oh, no.
She ended up driving through, luckily she lived out in the country, through a neighbour's property. Yeah, but the medication side effect. And what we're doing, like when I'm rebalancing, you know, the microbiome, people are coming off all their medication, their blood pressure, their cholesterol, they're metabolizing it. It's the metabolome in our gut microbiome that metabolizes all these things, our hormones, our cholesterol, the way cholesterol is processed or synthesized. And that cholesterol is making our hormones. You know, that's what estrogen, testosterone, it's all being made from cholesterol. When that's not being processed properly, hormones are out of whack. It's deposited into our arteries. There's your high blood pressure.
Yes.
It's all the systems out of whack.
Yes, definitely. Well, I'll be interested to see when I get my next lot of bloods done to see if my cholesterol's gone down.
Yes. So if you did it sort of at the 6-month mark and then the 12-month mark, you should see it start to gradually come down.
Yes, well, I certainly hope so. I mean, I'm not on medication for it as yet, but that was spoken of if it didn't come down. So
well, now you're reversing it all, so it will come down. Yeah.
Good. Excellent. Excellent.
This isn't about blaming doctors. It's about recognising that the system was built for acute care, heart attacks, infections, emergencies, but chronic conditions, that requires a whole different toolkit. And that's what functional medicine offers. 40 years of reflux, decades of bloating, a lifetime of digestive sensitivity. Gone. Not managed, not masked, gone. I want to pause here because this is extraordinary. When you address bile flow, motility, dysbiosis, methane overgrowth, and the gut microbiome, reflux doesn't stand a chance. The body wants to heal. It is wired for healing. You just need to give it the conditions to do what it already knows how to do. Towards the end of the conversation, Joan says something that I think will stay with you long after the episode. She says she feels healthy, maybe for the first time in her life. This is the part where healing moves from physical to personal. When you feel good in your body, you feel hopeful, you feel capable, you feel like yourself again. And sometimes for the first time. Oh, it's so good that I think when my husband came back and mentioned how distressed you were about your health.
Yes.
And I mentioned that I thought I could really help you out here.
Yes, yes. Well, my word, you have. And I mean, I was in a very bad place, and that it's made a huge difference.
Yes. You've got chronic pancreatitis, and although, and you're not, so in the majority of cases, 70 to 80% is to do with alcohol overuse.
Yes, yes.
But that's not you. You don't drink
No, it
alcohol.
isn't.
And there is a genetic factor to a lot of these things, but we have control over our epigenetics, our
Yes,
environment, whether we switch those genes on or silence them.
yes,
We can manipulate that part of it.
yeah.
So it's not necessarily our blueprint. We're setting your body up now with the best support it could possibly have to perform those functions properly now.
Absolutely. And it is, I guess, in a way, the change has been because I am healing within.
Ah, okay. Yes. Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
As I keep saying, it's so hard to put it into words, but I just feel totally different to I have, well, probably ever
Yeah,
sort
right.
of thing.
Yeah.
I just feel healthier.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think you went right back. Like, well, when was the beginning of when the reflux started for you?
Oh, that was in my late teens.
Yeah, right. And you're in your 60s now?
Yes, I am.
So well over 40 years.
Yes, yeah.
There we go.
It's been a on and off sort of a problem. So, and I've always had difficulty with greasy foods. I've never been able to eat them. So, yeah.
And that just points to your bile acid disruption or dysfunction.
Okay.
It's a bile acid that breaks down those fats
Yeah.
predominantly. And when that's not working well, your whole digestive system's not working well. It gets clogged up. So that inhibits motility. So bile acid helps with those contractions. And as that sort of all slows down and becomes congested, then you start developing that SIBO, small intestinal bacteria overgrowth, because it's staying there in the tract for way too long. And one thing leads to another. And the disease, depending on which species is being overgrown, will determine which disease profile it takes.
Okay.
But yeah, yours is all those symptoms you're mentioning are all classically. And this doesn't happen overnight. I've treated some people that's had it for 50 years.
Wow.
Others 7 years, others 6 months. They're into 6 months and they just can't handle it anymore. And I say, oh, wow. If you didn't treat it, which most people don't because they're just getting a pill from the doctor to treat a symptom, it's never addressing the underlying cause, and that becomes less and less effective, that medication. And it just doesn't work, But everyone who I've treated, I've managed to get off their reflux medication and completely come back to being symptom-free with all of it.
Wow.
So
it's amazing, isn't it?
It is like magic, but the body is magic. It knows how to heal when the right conditions are set up.
Yeah. That saying, we are what we eat.
Absolutely.
It's very true.
Yeah. So there's not one bit of prevention really involved so much. There's no focus. There's no real reward in terms of the insurances we pay there. So, for example, functional medicine is not covered by Medicare. They're not interested in funding treating the root cause.
No.
Go there and get completely funded for a pill to be handed over. That's it, and imaging, but not when you treat the underlying cause.
No. But just through my experience with the pancreatitis and that, they're not interested in going beyond.
No one's asking why.
No, I am asking why.
When you don't drink alcohol, have I got chronic pancreatitis? No one's asking that question.
No. Well, the answer to that was we may never know.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We may never know what's caused it.
Mm.
But there's got to be something that's caused it.
Oh, yeah, and gut dysbiosis is one of those causes. So that bile acid, that wasn't there to break down the fat because you're feeling sick and the motility was slowing and all the thing, and then you developed a bacterial overgrowth in your small intestines. So that bile acid can get very sluggish.
Yes.
And back up into the ducts, into the pancreas, and sort of eat it away.
Yeah.
So there's all different mechanisms like that that can happen due to gut dysbiosis that then cause that chronic inflammation.
That's the thing, though, because for about 6 months prior to me having the pancreas attack, all these symptoms flared up. So, and I think that was the end result of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, we've got to get that bile acid flowing. And those bitters, the gentian bitters, the apple cider vinegar before we eat, lemon juice, all of that can help stimulate that flow.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely having an effect.
Yeah. So now you know the warning signs. If ever that happens, we know that your bile acid has been congested again.
Yes.
And we need to get onto it, and we need to find out what's slowing it all up. I don't think you're anywhere close to having another attack just yet.
Oh, no, I hope not. The thought of it's just, yes, that gives me anxiety. And more so the specialist's idea of taking my gallbladder out, even though it's healthy.
I know. I spoke to a guy yesterday, and that's what they did to him. He's got all the same symptoms.
Yes.
And all they knew to do was to try taking out his gallbladder.
Yeah.
And they got rid of it, and he's way worse off now.
Yeah.
And they said that there was nothing wrong with it.
It's terrible. When they first were going to do that 2 years ago, my gallbladder was inflamed then, but it had no stones, no sludge, no anything. The only reason they didn't do it is because I said that I didn't want it out, and they did more testing.
Good on you.
But I just think, why? Your gallbladder's there for a reason.
Mm.
If it's not diseased, why take it out?
Yeah.
I just cannot see the logic in that.
Because the mentality is, for example, another client was in touch with me yesterday, and she was given steroids for an inflamed throat. She's got a virus. She's got a cold. And so they're trying to kill the thing. The immune system's first line of defense is inflammation.
Yes.
So they're trying to suppress the inflammation with the steroids so that she doesn't have an inflamed throat, sore throat. And I said, how about we try first doing a betadine gargle, every hour if needed, to try and kill the bacteria that's probably causing the inflammation. The immune response is inflammation. So let's treat the underlying cause there.
Yes. I'll tell you something. One of my clients, her sister, her baby, who's probably about 2 months old, had a virus, was very ill, was taken to emergency, and they gave her steroids. Isn't that just...
And I said to her, suppressing the immune system when you've got this virus and you're sick is the last thing we want to do. The immune system knows how to heal. So let's just look a bit deeper and let's test whether this is bacterial, in the throat, because a lot of strep throat's going around at the moment.
Yes.
It's just a whole different mindset, isn't it? When you're not interested in treating the underlying cause, you're not asking the questions, well, why is it inflamed? The body's intelligent. It's activated this inflammatory response. Why?
Yeah.
Let's help that.
Yeah. Well, it sounds to me as if the steroid treatment's a bit like antibiotics used to be.
Yes. Yeah.
And look what we've found out about antibiotic over the years.
Well, it's the number one cause now for gut dysbiosis.
Is that right?
Yeah. Number one cause is antibiotic use. When you track the history of people, they come through and they've had more than 5 doses as a child of less than 5. And then from a teen, they've had this many doses. And then as an adult, this many. And it's just like,
that was me.
Wow. Yeah, that was you.
I had chronic tonsillitis as a child, and I had my tonsils out at 10. So I had heaps of antibiotic.
Yeah. Number one cause.
Yeah.
The second biggest cause is food poisoning and water poisoning.
Okay. Well, I've not had either of those.
Yeah, right. And sometimes people don't realise or make the connection with that, but they might have a small period bout of gastritis.
Yes.
And from there on, it develops, doesn't recover. It's got knocked out by the pathogens.
Yeah.
So, yeah, fascinating. The whole
It
thing.
is. It is.
But, yeah, we've got something that works really well. And I'm just trying to find ways to scale it all up because there's so many people that need help and healing in all
you
the
are
ways.
just such a treasure. You truly are.
We need more out there, and it will be the way of the future, but I don't think in our time. I think it'll take a good 70 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's so much opposition, isn't there?
Yeah, big vested interests at stake.
Absolutely. That's right.
And look, I'm not against all pharmaceuticals. Absolutely not. They have a place, they have the role, and I'd be first to take it for any sort of life-saving measure.
Absolutely. But it's the misinformation about a lot of it.
Well, and this same client that was given steroids to suppress the inflamed throat was also given antibiotics.
Oh, really? For a virus?
Mm-hmm. Prophylactically, just to stop any sort of secondary bacterial infection that might occur. That might. Yeah.
Dearie me.
But anyway, we're doing our bit.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing a bit of your journey with us.
No worries at all. No worries at all.
It's just trying to get the word out there, isn't it? That there is hope, that there is a way, that you don't have to suffer. Most people, you were lucky. You were distressed, but not as distressed as they mostly come. So mostly they come and they're suicidal. They just do not want to live life like this anymore.
And that breaks my heart to think. I wasn't like that. I was very frustrated because I wasn't getting anywhere. You've got to be committed.
Absolutely. And you were a wonderful person to work with because you got to the point where I'll do anything to get my health back.
Absolutely. And the thing was too, you were up front from the very beginning with me, telling me it's not going to be easy and it's going to take time. But as we go through week by week, seeing the progress, that made it so much easier.
And I think too, for those who aren't necessarily committed up front, because that is a process itself.
Yes.
And that's where the counselling comes in. Because I'm slowly changing that mindset and we're educating, understanding, and they can see it clear as day. And they start to very slowly develop the new relationship, the new association with it all.
Yes.
And so it's not like they have to have it all together in order to come into the treatment, but they have to trust in the process, in that it will develop along the way.
Absolutely.
You just keep turning up. If you keep turning up each week, like we're at meeting now, just to get that reinforcement, that feedback, the biofeedback from the body. We make the connections, we track the symptoms, we can see you getting better. It just comes together, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah, it does. And your understanding of that process, my understanding of that process, is being enriched along the way as well, because I'm understanding better what is actually going on in my body.
It. When you know better, you do better.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. I think that's been best thing, is being able to understand.
Yes.
You haven't just told me you need to do this.
No,
it will make you better. You've said to me, we will try this and this will work this way in your body, and you understand then.
And that's where you get the buy-in. That's when people get what you're trying to do and what it's going to do. It's like, let's test this, because we can't run labs for every single thing. It would send everyone broke. We have to, we start with the original mapping, and that's our guide, our map to what we need to target. But along the way, there's a fair bit of testing and trialing, but your body gives that feedback. And when you start to learn how to attune to that, you hear the language of your body.
And my body has had a lot of language along the way, hasn't it?
It's quite tricky being allergic to sulfites, because most of the supplements are in a sulfite capsule, but we got there.
We've gotten there, haven't we? Absolutely we have. So, and it's just been wonderful. It really has. And I can thank you from the bottom of my heart.
I feel so privileged to be in a position to be able to help people in this way. I literally feel like with so many of them, it is literally giving their life back. And they've put that in words, like they say, I'm 100% mean that, for like, I don't want to go on anymore.
No.
And now, It's a privileged position that I'm in to be able to help those.
Oh, but look, your knowledge is matched by your compassion.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's forever, that knowledge. I'm always at it and I will never know it. No one will ever know it. But I'm curious enough and passionate enough that if I don't, I will go and find out.
Well, you do. You do. And look, I just admire you greatly. You're a treasure. And thank you.
Well, you've been beautiful to work with. I thoroughly enjoy our chats.
No, I do too. I look forward to them.
Yeah.
Yes. No, thank you. It's changed my life incredibly. And I think it's not just health-wise, it's changed my mindset too on so many levels. So, and that's a huge thing.
Yeah. Those mindset shifts are big. They're our underlying drivers, really, our beliefs, the way we're thinking, processing the world, which is a lovely component to bring that counselling into this space.
Yes.
Because, well, given the gut-brain axis is bidirectional, it's driving a lot of this depression, anxiety. And I just had someone come yesterday. It was another counsellor that referred him on because she'd been intensively in counsel for 12 months. Not one bit of difference to his depression and anxiety. Found out that he's got massive gut dysbiosis. So we won't be doing the counselling. We'll be treating.
Yes, you'll be working on those nasty overgrowths.
Goes far and wide.
But isn't that just so sad?
Yeah, really sad. Yeah.
You wonder then how many people are out there suffering on antidepressants and things like that.
I had a look at the statistics. A quarter of the adult population around the world are on proton pump inhibitor antacid medication. So already that tells me they are living with that reflux. They're very rarely deprescribed because doctors don't know how to treat the underlying cause of it. So that's a quarter that we know of. So you've got all those people that are still suffering but aren't treating it. But then I guess that develops into Barrett's esophagus, which we reversed with this work.
Yes.
Barrett's esophagus is one step away from esophageal cancer.
Cancer, yes.
It's leading them down these paths that they really don't need to go down on.
It's just, but it's sad. It's sad that people have to suffer like that.
Yeah, I know. So that's what we're doing, your part in helping spread the word, letting people know there is a way. So thank you so much for that.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with this. Joan's story is not an exception. It's not a miracle case. It is what happens when we listen to the body instead of silencing it. When we treat root causes rather than symptoms. When we support someone weekly, compassionately, consistently through the messy middle. When we acknowledge that healing is biological, it's emotional, it's behavioural, and deeply human. So wherever you are in your own health story, just know this: your body is not broken. Your cravings are not moral failings. Your symptoms are not random, and you are not stuck. Healing is possible at any age, at any stage, even after decades. If today's conversation resonated with you, please share this episode with someone you love, someone who's been struggling with their gut, their energy, their mood, or their relationship with food. Sometimes a story like Joan's is the exact nudge someone needs to believe in the possibility of healing again. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening with an open mind and an open heart. Until next time, take good care of yourself. We'll see you next.